This is a November paper DBE 2023 paper 2. Our focus will be on reconciliations, 40 marks for 30 minutes. 1.1 is about the bank reconciliation statement. We have the information that relates to Mango Traders for June 2023. The business uses the official bank statement, which is received on the 26th of each month. That could be important. There could be transactions that appear on the bank statement after the 26th of March. As a matter of fact, they won't be in the bank statement after the 26th of March because these payments or receipts of money or deposits would have been made after the 26th. Therefore, they will be recorded in their bank reconciliation statement since they will not reflect in the June 2023 bank statement. This is the information that we have. We're required to prepare this, the bank account, the bank reconciliation statement using 2 columns and using 1 column. And we're also required to answer this question over here. Let's get on to it. Variable balance as per the bank statement. Well, that doesn't really help us much. We have deposit not on the bank statement. That is for May bank statement. These deposits were not there. The one on the 18th of May, which is 30,000. The one on the 30th of May, which is 18,200. And there's a note right at the bottom. I'll get to it. And then we have outstanding EFTs. The one to Ace Stationers, and we have EFT 817. Just going back to the deposits. Please note that the deposits will be recorded on the credit side of your bank reconciliation statement, since the bank will normally record them on the credit side in the bank statement. You need to remember when we prepare the bank reconciliation statement, we prepare it as though we are the bank. Remember, to us, the bank is an asset, but to the bank, we are a liability. So when we debit our bank account, they credit us. So when we make a deposit into our bank account, we debit it, the bank credits it. Any money that comes into our account, the bank credits it, and we debit it. Meaning that the CRJ, which records all the monies received by the business, will be compared to the credit side of the bank statement. The cash payments, which records all the monies paid by the business, will be compared to the debit side of the bank statement. These outstanding deposits, I know for sure they were recorded in the CRJ, but they did not appear on the credit side of the bank statement. That's why we record them on the credit side of the bank reconciliation statement, or positive. Outstanding EFTs were recorded in the cash payments journal, but they did not appear on the debit side of the bank statement. Deposit, credit, EFTs, debit. They gave us a favorable balance as per the bank account in the ledger. This was the closing balance in the bank account in the general ledger in the previous month. We are in June right now. That's what the question said. You need to calculate the following totals for the cash journals. Use the table provided in the answer book, bank account balance in the general ledger. And all of this must be done on the 30th of June 2023. And then we need to prepare the bank reconciliation on the 30th of June 2023 and also explain two strategies that the business can use to address the problem of missing cash. This one is similar to the June bank reconciliation statement. The last one, 1.1.3. All right. Basically, this 49,100 will be the opening balance in the bank account for June. So we have our bank account on the debit side because they said it's favorable. Our balance brought down will be 49,100. The note says the cashier reported that cash to be deposited on the 18th was stolen while she was on her way to the bank. This amount must be written off. As I've said, they talking about this amount, which is 30,000. It has already been recorded in the CRJ. It'll never appear in the bank statement because this deposit was never made. It was stolen as the cashier was going to the bank to deposit it. Since it was made in the CRJ and we will never get it back, to cancel that amount, we are going to record it in the CPJ. They gave us cash journal totals on the 30th of June 2023 before receiving the bank statement. So this does not include anything that was in the bank statement. Cash receipts is 81,300. Cash payments is 80,620. I'll put those as my totals in the cash journals, which have already been entered, obviously. We have ACE, which is 816 for 4,700. Remember, when you get the bank statement, you compare it against the two cash journals, which is the cash receipts journal and the cash payments journal, but you also compare it to the previous month's bank reconciliation statement. And ACE Stationers, I saw it as one of the outstanding EFTs. There it is. But here it's written as 7,400. So I don't know who's wrong, who's right. So here I'll just say put a tick and put an N because I need to note that. Okay. NB, because I have to come back to it. I don't know who's wrong there. And then we've got Spark Wholesalers, which is EFT 817. Let me see if we've got 817 this side. Oh, we do. And the amounts, are they exactly the same? Let me see. Are they exactly the same? Yes, they are. And then we've got EFT 792. It was not there in previous months. Remember, this is the bank reconciliation statement for the previous month. So that EFT 792 is not there. So it should have been in the bank in the cash payments journal for the current month, for the month of June. Which is weird. It's really weird. But there it is. It's on the debit side of, and it was paid to BK Builders. Then we've got a deposit on the 30th of May of 18,200. I'm going to first start by comparing it to the previous month's bank reconciliation statement. We have 18,200 over there, which is on the 30th of May. It corresponds to this one. So it finally appeared in the bank statement. I will just pick it. Then they have a cash deposit fee. That is a bank charge. I will just circle it for now to check if I have any other bank charges. We also have VX Garage EFT for 3,780. It does not appear on the other side, so I'll just wait to see what's happening with that when I read additional information. And then we've got interest of 240. This interest of 240 Because it's on the credit side, it means it was interest on favorable bank balance, and interest on favorable bank balance is recorded in the cash receipts journal. And interest on unfavorable bank balance will be, if it was on the debit side, it was going to be recorded in the cash payments journal. For this one, it'll definitely be recorded in the CRJ, but I'm just waiting to read additional information to find out more. And then we've got transaction fee. For the May, it was 360 and 360, and now they say it's 540. They are repeated here. One of them will be recorded as a bank charge. We're going to add it with this 320 as a bank charge. I'm just waiting to read further as to were they duplicate, were they duplicated or not. If they were duplicated, one will be recorded in the cash payments journal, and the other one we have to cancel it. Because it was debited here, we're going to record it in the bank reconciliation statement for June and cancel it. I'm just waiting to read additional information, which is what I'm going to go to right now. It says EFT 816 to ACE is correct in the bank statement. Oh, basically, this EFT here, it is correct. So this one is the correct one. Okay, double tick it. And the one that we recorded was incorrect. So that one is wrong. That means our CPJ was overstated by the difference. As I explained in the previous video, if your CPJ amount or payment was overstated, you need to cancel the difference in the CRJ. And to find the difference, you will take the 7,400. It doesn't matter which one you're subtracting. Take 7,400 minus 4,700, and that difference will be 2,700. You will record it in the cash receipts journal. The understatement of a payment in the CPJ, the difference will be recorded in the CPJ. The overstatement of a payment in the CPJ, the difference will be recorded in the CRJ. Let's go to point 2. EFT 792 to BK Builders was incorrectly recorded in the June cash receipts journal, which is the CRJ. We basically need to correct our bank through the correction of your CRJ and the CPJ. This was a payment and it was recorded in the CRJ. We need to cancel it by recording it in the CPJ. And because it was a payment, we also need to record it in the CPJ. So we're going to record it in the CPJ twice. Let me see the value of this EFT payment. And it should be on the debit side. It is 6,200. So at the moment, that 6,200, it's sitting in the CRJ, right? It's here. So we need to first cancel it and then record it in the CPJ. So the second recording is the correct recording. That's where it was supposed to have been. That is why we are going to take the 6,200 and times it by 2. And that will be recorded in the cash payments journal. And that will give you 12,400. Point 3. The direct deposit by GTLAN was for monthly rent. Remember, this means GTLAN made the deposit into our account. We didn't know about it. We only got to know about it when we received the bank statement. The deposit from GTLAN deposit from Glen, obviously it's on the credit side. It appeared in this month's bank statement. It did not appear in the cash receipts journal for June. And that is because it was deposited directly into our bank account. We wouldn't have known about it until we receive the bank statement. Therefore, we are going to record it in the correct journal, which is the CRJ, and the amount will be 14,600. EFT 818 to XV Garage was for repairs to the company vehicle. The owner neglected to submit the transaction. Record slip to the bookkeeper. Well, to submit the transaction, record slip to the bookkeeper. No entry was made in the books. Okay. Let me see what they're talking about here. It should be on the debit side of the bank statement. Oh, there it is. What the owner did not do was to record this or send the report, the transaction record slip to the bookkeeper. The bookkeeper was supposed to have recorded that in the CPJ, but that was not done, and it was the owner's fault. It appears on the debit side of the bank statement. To take it, we'll have to record it in the cash payments journal as 3,780. The monthly transaction fees were duplicated on the bank statement. This is what I meant. They're basically talking about these 540s. So 1,540, I am going to add it with the deposit fee down the debit side. Therefore, they should be recorded in the cash payments journal. I will add them because those are my bank charges, and I will record that under cash payments journal. In total, the bank charges, which is money that went out of our bank account, will be 160. One of the transaction fee, this over here is incorrect. That one is dealt with, that one is dealt with, but that one is incorrect. And it's the error that was made by the bank. We cannot correct it in any of the cash journals. We can't record it in the cash payments journal. We can't record it in the cash receipts journal. It's not us that made the error. It is the bank. The error that is made by the bank will be corrected in the bank reconciliation statement. It was debited, therefore we are going to credit it by 40. We've got entries in the cash journals for June, so these are in the CRJ and CPJ, but they were not in the bank statement for June. We have a deposit that was made on the 27th of June of 31,500. That will be recorded on the credit side of your bank reconciliation statement as outstanding deposit. Note that if it was one column, these two amounts, the 540 and the 31,500, we will show them without brackets or just plus. That amount was already recorded in the cash receipts journal. It was not recorded. It does not appear in the bank statement. And if the bank was to record it, it was going to record it on the credit side. Then we've got two EFT payments, the one for 9,700 and the one for 13,300. Those two will also be recorded on the debit side of the bank reconciliation statement as they were not recorded by the bank. When we prepare one column, these two amounts will be shown with brackets. I just wanted to start with these ones. They will be shown with brackets. We'll get to the rest later. Then they say the owner withdrew 11,000 from an ATM to pay wages on the 29th of June, but did not inform the bookkeeper. So it's not in the bank statement. It is also not in the cash payments journal because it was not submitted to the bookkeeper. So we are going to record it in both. We are going to record it in the cash payments journal and then record it in there on the debit side of your bank statement. But before I move on to that, I want to record this interest here that I spoke about. It will be recorded on the debit side, on the under receipts because it was interest on a favorable balance. How do I know that? It is because it was recorded on the credit side. If it was recorded on the debit side or unfavorable, if they said it was interest on unfavorable balance, I was going to record it in the CPJ. But because here it was on favorable balance, how do I know that? Because it's on the credit side. Since they didn't tell me, I knew it was on the credit side. If they didn't show it on the credit side, they would have to tell me whether it was interest on favorable or unfavorable. If it is interest on favorable bank balance, it will be recorded in the CRJ and we will record it as 250. The 11,000 that I spoke about will be recorded under cash payments journal and it'll also be recorded on the debit side of your bank reconciliation statement. If you were preparing this using one column, you will put it in brackets. Oh, and then we just have to calculate the balance. For us to be able to do that, we are going to get the totals for CRJ. It'll give us 98,840. So you just add all of these, including the balance, okay? Even here, you add all of these, including the balance. It'll give you that over there. The one under payments, this one here, we are going to record it on the credit side of our bank account, and the receipts will be recorded on the debit side of our bank account. You will notice that the debit side is bigger as it will give you 147,940. Subtract the credit side. The balancing figure, we call it balance brought down, so it's a favorable bank balance. Because it's on the debit side, it will be recorded on the debit side of your bank reconciliation statement. And you will notice that the debit side is more than the credit side in the bank reconciliation statement. Put the total on both. And in the credit side, you will take that 43,250, you minus the 31,500, you minus the 540. The balancing figure will be 11,240. If you were preparing one column, that's how you will deal with it. So the debit balance, you'll put it there without brackets, obviously. If it was unfavorable or credit, we're going to put it with brackets. I'll put in the credit transaction fee, which is that error and outstanding deposit without brackets. Then you just work backwards. So you will add this, you will add that, you will add this, you will subtract that, you will subtract that. We call it reverse operation. What do we have there? We have 540. Actually, I'm lying. We're supposed to take 9 to 80 plus 11,000 plus 13,300 plus 9,700 minus 31,500 minus 540. It gives me 11,240, which will be the balance as per the bank statement. It is a favorable balance because it's positive. Okay, that's it. This one is pretty much the same as the one under June 2023. Strategies is to make sure that you send the person with an extra person. You don't send one person. Or in this case, because they were robbed, you will send them with a security guard, or you employ a security company to come and collect cash, or you encourage your customers to pay using cards, their debit cards or credit cards, instead of using cash. But know that if you make it compulsory, you might lose cash customers. And then perform regular reconciliation by a person that is not responsible in preparing the cash journals, and you will pick up a habit. If the cashier was once robbed as they claim and it happens again, then it will be questionable. Um, and if they did it before and you knew about it, why didn't you make other arrangement? Why is it happening again? I know we're supposed to believe the cashier, but sometimes they could have stolen it themselves. Ask a friend to say, you know what, I'll be taking this route and this route. Wait for me there, point a gun, and take the money, and then we'll share when we get home. That could happen. Otherwise, just make sure that you do it randomly. No one knows the routes, and it should be done by a senior person rather than the cashier. And also ask for notifications from the bank, and you can go to the bank and see if the cashier actually, oh, check the cameras around the buildings where the cashier claims that they were robbed, and to see if indeed they were robbed. Um, as I've said, I spoke about this one earlier on. You just need 2 points, and that's all. Okay, that is 1.1. Let's go to Creditors reconciliation statement. Creditors reconciliation statement works exactly the same as the bank reconciliation statement. But here it's all about comparing your creditors control with your creditors list more than anything. And this could have been due to comparison between your creditors list and creditors statements or debtors ledger from the creditor. The comparisons there that were found, we might need to correct them. If the mistake was made by us, we will definitely correct it in our books, which is either in the creditors control account or the creditors list. In this case, it's just between the two. They didn't really ask us to prepare the main creditors reconciliation statement. We're just reconciling our creditors control account with the total of the creditors listed. That's what we're doing here. And there's what we call creditors reconciliation statement. In this case, it's not what they really asking for. They want us to take into account the errors and omissions, calculate the correct balance in the creditors control account and the creditors list. So they don't need us to prepare the creditors reconciliation statement, as I've said earlier on, which is good. Indicate changes by plus for an increase and minus for a decrease. Uh, okay. I did not see that because in my answers I didn't put a plus and I didn't put the minus. I've just put the brackets. And with the plus, I normally just don't put a sign at all. So please make sure that you do as they say. Note that if you don't put a minus in front of a number, it's assumed that it's a plus, okay? So if it's a minus, you need to put either a minus or brackets. And they want us to calculate how much Putu wholesalers will have to pay at the end of the month, which is the 31st of August 2023. Okay, let's get into it. The first thing I did was to check if when I add all of this, would it give me the total that I've got there? And it did. That's the first thing that you must do. And this is the balances that we're going to start with when we prepare the creditors list as well as the creditors control. Okay. Oh, my bad. Just showed you answers there. Um, Let me just repeat the whole thing. It says the total of creditors allowances journal was understated by 3,600. As I've said, understatement means that it was lower than what it was supposed to be by that 3,600. You need to understand that creditors allowances journal is posted to the credit side of the debtors control. I'm sure you learned this in grade 9. It reduces, actually, I'm lying here, it's recorded on the debit side of creditors control because it reduces what you owe your creditors. However, it was under reduced by 3,600. So we need to reduce it by a further 3,600. Understatement means that it was reduced by an amount lesser by that 3,600. It affects your creditors control. And because it affects your creditors control, we are going to put it under creditors control as a minus. It doesn't affect your creditors list, it affects your creditors control. We are going to put it as a minus under creditors control. Number 2, a payment of 14,250 made to wholesalers was in error posted as 15,240 to the creditor's ledger account. The posting to the general ledger was correct, so this doesn't affect our creditors control. Instead, it affects our creditors list. It means that we reduced Puto's account by 15,250 instead of 14,250. So we over reduced it. So because we over reduced it, we need to add back the difference as it will impact on the total of the creditors list. The difference will be found by taking 15,240 and then you minus 14,250 and then you add it back under creditors list. Three, an invoice received from Planet Suppliers for 9,540 and recorded in the creditors journal, so it doesn't affect our creditors control, was posted in error to the account of Uto wholesalers in the creditors ledger. This will not affect the overall creditors ledger, but it will affect the account belonging to Uto wholesalers. Because it will not affect the overall creditors list since it was recorded, the net effect of that will be 0. Number 4, goods returned to mesh dealers. So it was recorded on the debit side of creditors control and recorded in the CAJ, was posted in the account in the creditor's ledger as an invoice. You see, this one is different. It does affect the total creditors list. So this was goods returned. We basically were supposed to reduce creditors list or reduce that debtors, that creditors balance by that amount, which is 7,500. But we didn't reduce it. Instead, we increased it because we recorded it as an invoice. So to correct the error, we have to reduce it twice. The first reduction is to correct the mistake that we made when we increased it, to put it at 0. The second one is to reduce it, to make sure that it goes down by 7,500. So that is why we are going to take the 7,500 and multiply it by 2 and reduce the creditors list by the total, which will be 15,000. Number 5, SEP traders recorded a purchase of 13,280 from aerial suppliers in the CJ after. So we recorded this after the 20% discount was deducted. Remember, the trade discount is not recorded. However, aerial suppliers informed them that the trade discount agreed was only 10%. So we over-reduced what we bought from aerial suppliers. We over-reduced it by half of what we were entitled to reduce it by. We first have to find the full amount before the trade discount was deducted. Please note that that 13,280 is at 80%. So what I'm going to do is to take that 13,280 multiplied by 100 to get the full amount before the discount was taken out and divide it by 80. You multiply by what you want. You multiply by what you want, you divide by what you have. So these goods that we purchased, they cost us 16,600. Both the creditors control and the creditors list were incorrectly recorded. What we are going to do is to find the 10% of this full amount, which is the 100%. And that will give us 1,660. It means one thing. It means we still owe 1,660. Since we over-reduced what we purchased, we understated the purchase price, meaning that we owe them this 1,660 as they only reduced it by this amount, but we reduced it by twice that amount, and we were wrong. So we're going to add the over-reduction. Under creditors control, we are going to, just for you to understand what I mean by that, let me just show you calculations. So when we bought from this creditor, let me just get the name of the creditor, aerial suppliers. When we bought from aerial suppliers, we recorded the purchase of those goods at 13,280 instead of at this amount. Instead of recording it at 14,940. Basically, we are saying we owe them 13,280, but we actually owe them 14,940. So we are going to add the difference because we recorded that at 13 to 80 instead of 14. It was 14 what? Instead of 14 what? Instead of 14, 940. So now I'm going to take that and subtract the 13,000 to 80. It'll give me 1,660. So we say we are owing them this, but we actually owe them that 14,000. So we need to increase what we say we owe them by 1,160. So that is why under creditors control, we are going to add 1,160, and under creditors list, we are going to add 1,160. Then you can get your totals. The last one, they want us to determine how much we owe Puto wholesalers. There were two transactions that affected Puto wholesalers. The first one was this one here. A payment of that was recorded as that. So we needed to add the difference because we over-reduced what we owe them by 990. The other one was number... They say the next one was an invoice to Planet Suppliers for 9,540. And it was recorded in error in Putty Wholesalers account. So we need to reduce Putty Wholesalers account by that 9,000 because it's not for them. It was for somebody else. We bought these goods from somebody else, not from Putty Wholesalers. So we don't owe Putty Wholesalers that much. So we need to reduce what we owe them by 9,540, meaning that while at the end of August, we owe Putty Wholesalers 56,400, and that's how much we need to pay them. All right, and that is it from me. I have completed everything here. Thank you again for watching. Please let your friends know and everybody know this cool channel. And keep in touch. If you have any question paper, just send me the question paper and the answer book, and I'll record a video on that. Thank you for your support. Koto.